welcome back. So, as we welcome back our next guest, I should say, award winning playwright, poet, author, and director, Y. Rodriguez. She's here to discuss her new book, Urban Folk Tales, which tells the stories of the working poor and working class neighborhoods of New York City through the lens of spiritual realism with a magical pencil. Everyone, please welcome back to the show, playwright, poet, author, and director, Y. Rodriguez. Hi and
Hi,
welcome.
hi, good morning. Thank you. Thank you. And hi, everyone in the Bronx and everywhere that's listening. Thank you, Rina. Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, Dayun, for having me again on
Well,
BronxNet.
welcome back. We are excited to have this conversation about urban folk tales. I mean, now it's available for everyone to purchase. And let's just first talk about your trajectory stepping into this role of publishing this book that is it's done in storytelling style, not versus playwright, right? You're primarily known as a playwright. So what was that journey like for you?
Well, my trajectory as a writer
Got
has
it.
always been something that's always been a part of who I am ever since I was a little girl. I think I had my first poem published when I was 12 or something like that. So that sort of evolved into work as a reporter. I was a journalist, an investigative journalist on a community newspaper here in Manhattan for a while, and I studied journalism in school. And then I was always a creative writer as well. So I became a member of the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater playwriting workshop under Alan Davis. And that's where I kind of became very prolific in writing all of my, I think I have a total of 20 plays now. I'm not really sure anymore. But that's where it all started for me as a playwright. And unfortunately, I've never had any of my plays produced in any Hispanic theaters in this city, but I've had them produced in off Broadway companies with the Theater for the New City, the Public Theater, La Mama, Manhattan Rep, several others. So, and then, I have a play published in an anthology called Nuestro New York, an anthology of Puerto Rican playwrights, and that was published by Penguin Books. So my work as a playwright has always informed all of my work as a prose writer, whether it was the poetry I was writing, the short stories I was writing, the novels that I've been writing, as well as any songs, because I'm also a songwriter. So it's all kind of, Rina, it's all the same to me. It's all in the same world, my world as a writer. What's the best way of expressing myself? Through song, through a poem, through a play, through these short stories, or through a novel. So that's always been a part of who I am, and it's sort of the same sort of um, expression.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. It's a matter of stylizing. However, you are definitely, without a doubt, educational in everything you write, especially from the perspective of Latinidad, Puerto Rican as well. And what I do love about this new style, rather, I wouldn't say your new style because it's part of your style, but this new story telling style that you're doing in urban folk tales with the I want to say that there's an essence of spirituality that comes out, and I don't know
Mhm.
if that is intentionally coming from this place of you now inserting that magical realism with an aspect of the Latino cultura and recognizing that there's magic in everything.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. And I've done it in my work as a playwright as well. And I'd like to think that all these muses are these spiritual entities. I
Right.
remember I was writing a play about Abisu Campos and Lolita Lebron, which was produced by the Theater for the New City. Um, and I remember so clearly as in front of my computer, my laptop, I remember feeling such a presence behind me, as if someone had their hand on my shoulder saying, "Go ahead, keep doing it. And, and that's sort of is revealed in the writing as well. Whether it's a play or whether it's these short stories or poetry, because you're right, magic is everywhere, and magic or spirituality or magical realism. These are all devices that we can use to express what sometimes you can't express in the real world. And how do we express that? Well, we express it through these devices. How do you express that feeling on my shoulder? How do I express, the moment in one of the stories when a young kid is struggling with his identity as a young Black Hispanic male in the city? He uses magical realism. He uses these devices and spirituality to understand himself and his place in this world.
Yes, no. Again, I'm already a super fan, and I haven't even read your entire collection. Okay, I'm serious. Your writing style is definitely something that I was already immersed in being introduced to you, and I'm saying this with the utmost endearment because I need our audience to understand what it is that you bring into your storytelling, aside from raising, awareness around racism, around identity, around even I want to say diversity from the perspective of being raised within a society that we kind of have no choice but to get to learn each other, right? And then there's finding those similarities within the differences, even if you're coming from a different place of immigration, right? um
Yeah.
yeah.
I hope that my writing does that, that it
It
expresses that
does. It does. It does.
a human race. Because people who have already bought the book have been telling me, wow, I really like the story. I really relate to it. And they have nothing to do with who I am in my world and where I came from or whatever it is. So that's a wonderful accomplishment, personal accomplishment, that whether it's my work as a playwright or as a prose writer, that people, in no matter where they are, no matter where they come from, they recognize that universality between ourselves as humans. So that's a very important thing for me to feel that people are understanding that, but also taking something away after they read a play, or after they read one of the stories, or they see one of the plays that I do. Wow, I never knew that. Oh wow, that's an insightful moment about who we are, and what our role is in this world, or what it shouldn't be. I don't know. But I really like when people respond to that, that they really found something personal and they connected in that way.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing where you're going with this. And when I mean where you're going with this is because um, the the storytelling style, I already visualized vignettes and just traveling through New York, and I mean it's very visual in the sense of being relatable as a New Yorker, in understanding that these are parts of our neighborhoods, but the humanity written in the stories is for anyone who is reading it to take into consideration that we don't really know what people are going through, not really. And
Mhm.
even though you're using magic realism and spirituality and and there's this this kind of like adventure in the way you're exploring. um it's healing. That's the word I'm looking for. There's just
Oh
in
my goodness. Thank
Yes, I haven't even read the whole book, but I already know, and I wanted to share that with you because I'm in awe over you. Obviously, by the way, I'm gagaing over you.
I'd like to see where the book goes as well, Vina, because I when this show airs, would already have been done, but I'm getting I'm having a book event soon in Queens, and I've been connecting with independent bookstores throughout the country, in California, in Florida, in Chicago, Texas. So I'm really trying my best to not only promote the book in those areas, in those particularly the Latino communities in those states, but also to really move it forward in terms of, hi, I'm a Latina writer. When we talk about diversity, okay, but how do we open up those doors? This is another subject that we can get into full blown in another interview, but those opportunities are still very limited, unfortunately. Not only are we seeing less and less bookstores. I was walking through East Harlem the other day. Nothing.
Right.
It's a book desert. It's a book desert. So, and I was trying to connect with some bookstores, and the first one I found was on East 93rd in Madison, and they actually had copies of my book, and I signed them and everything. And I was like, "Listen, we know if we can get the word out there, because you guys are like the only ones
Right.
within a 5 mile radius
Well,
of this."
hopefully after this interview, the Lit Bar is on deck. And yes, I'm putting it out there for you. It's a lovely space, and they definitely advocate, people of color writing, authors, and they put events together. So I'm putting it
And
out there.
I also heard from some bookstores in PR, so hopefully I'll be down there this summer as well. And they were very gracious, and well, of course we want you. Come on down.
I know, I want you everywhere. I think you're definitely a must read. So I thank you for bringing it here to our viewers, and congratulations on this book being published. Why?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me today. And yeah, so here's the copy of the book. Everyone, hopefully you
Brava.
can get it at a bookstore, on Amazon, or readfuriously.com. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Once again, that's Wyatt Rodriguez, poet, author, director, and award winning playwright. Urban Folktales, once again, is currently available on wherever you can find a book. And of course, you can always go to readfuriously.com for more information. We do have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about the upcoming play, La Caída de Rafael Trujillo, The Downfall of Rafael Trujillo, coming to Teatro Círculo. Don't go anywhere.